Welcome to Magic in the Midwest podcast, starring USA Today best-selling author J.B. Michaels and his more successful wife, Ashley. Magic in the Midwest podcast. Hello, everybody. I am J.B. Michaels, thank you, host. I'm J.B. Michaels, USA Today best-selling author. This is podcast number 32. 32 in the anthology of Magic in the Midwest podcasts. I am joined today by my very successful wife,
Ashley.
Michaels. We have the same last name.
We do.
Yes, we are married. Not for long. D papers. Just deal with it. Okay? Deal with this string on my hoodie.
It's
not a big deal. What? What is your problem?
Are you going to mention
anything? Anyway.
Tell me to deal
We're all ready.
I already deal with it.
We already are.
I was saying something nice.
De-papering. Anyway.
And that retort was...
Retort.
I don't like you.
Yeah, your energy level is low
No,
today.
it's you.
No, it's
my energy
low
level is high.
today.
I worked out. I did a lot of things this morning already.
Today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so... this podcast is brought to you by the many works of J.B. Michaels, USA Today bestselling author, of course. Just the other day on LinkedIn, my anniversary for Harrison and James Publishing came up. 5 years.
Does anyone care about LinkedIn?
5 years. No. Some people do. 5 years, Ash.
Not anyone important.
At Harrison and James Publishing. Okay. And, if we look back at those 5 years, we have, 7 awards, 2 USA Today bestsellers, 4 Amazon bestsellers, lots of great things happening in those 5 years with those books. So, also, ladies and gentlemen, I also am a work in insurance. So if anybody needs anything, just call me or give me a ring, or even email us.
Say what kind of insurance.
I deal with all types of insurance.
There you go.
Actually,
maybe you should name some types.
Health insurance, life insurance, home and auto, anything you need, you could come to JB.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, don't you want to, when you deal with your insurance person, have them be funny?
Right.
Charming?
Right.
Helpful?
Yeah. I honestly, really, seriously, yes. But in all seriousness, we really, I work for a company called Wiedemann and Sons Insurance. They've been around for 90 years, and really the number one thing that I love about the company is that we are a company dedicated to service. So we service our clients, we make them feel a part of the process, but we also help them, with their needs. And we really mean it. We have a robust service team. We've got great people to help you, very knowledgeable people.
Yeah, when you call, you won't be on hold for 3 hours. You'll, have someone that answers the phone.
Right. Yeah, you call us and we'll call the insurance companies for you. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. So if you need anything insurance-wise, just reach out to us here at the podcast, Magic in the Midwest podcast at gmail.com, and just say, hey, I want to talk to JB about something. That's fine. That'd be great. Mm-hmm. So please, if you need anything, let us know. And then, of course, today, now that we've got a lot of the housekeeping out of the way.
No, we don't.
Wait, what else do we need?
We want to also thank our Bandcamp subscribers.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys. Thanks for supporting the podcast. And if you're wondering what that means to subscribe via Bandcamp, that would mean that you get
3 buckaroos.
4 extra podcasts a month when JB remembers to post them.
Well, yes.
Last week.
No, I was very late on posting the Bandcamp exclusive.
Normally we're not. Normally there's one every week.
Yeah, normally it's fine.
I mean, it's there. So you almost get, if you subscribe,
and the last one was really cool. We ranked the mountain range, the Disney mountain range.
Yes, and it does cost the low cost of $3 a month. And you get 4 extra episodes, or really, an episode a week.
Yes. Yes.
And if you subscribe now, you get all the back. Right, you don't. It's not like you just get what's available now. You get all the episodes from before, right?
Right, you get all the Bandcamp exclusive episodes.
Yeah, which there are already 30 something.
Right. So there's 31 of those.
Yeah, so you get all those, and then everything that comes down the pipeline.
Yes. So
the pipeline.
The pipeline. Yeah, that's fine.
Stop moving the chair.
That's fine. Anyway, so
think about it.
Yeah.
What's the address? Magic in the Midwest
podcast.bandcamp.com. Yeah. Magic in the Midwest podcast.bandcamp.com is the place to go if you want to get more exclusive content with JB and Ash talking theme parks. And today we have today's podcast, Special Topics podcast. And what we're going to talk about today is something that I find fascinating, and that's something that I really love. It's something that really, sadly, Disney, it's less common for them to do this, I guess, than the other way around. So we're going to talk about what I mean. So
this.
Yeah, you're gonna understand. So, okay, now Disneyland opened in 1955. And of course, Disneyland would have a mixture of Disneyland original attractions, like Disneyland original IP in the attractions. So like the Imagineers would have to come up with a story, Walt and the Imagineers would come up with characters and a story for the theme park specifically. And then there were other attractions like Peter Pan's Flight or Pinocchio's Daring Journey, or the Snow White Scary Ride, Scary Tale. What is it? Yeah, Snow White's Scary Adventure. Yeah, and then Alice in Wonderland as well, where like Disney will use established motion picture IP or even literary IP and put it in the parks. So it's not exactly a theme park original property. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Are we clear on that? So yes. Today we're going to talk about Magic Kingdom, probably for the most part. If we get to the other parks, we'll see. We'll see whether time permits us to do so. But we're going to talk about, our preference between attractions that are original to the park and also attractions that are, established already in some other media format, like, film or books or, whatever, some other, way to think about that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Ash, now just tell me before we go into the granular details, let's get kind of a big picture feeling from you, since you're the vibes person in the podcast, the vibes. Overall, what do you prefer? Would you rather it be an established $1 billion franchise, or it doesn't have to be $1 billion, but just something familiar that is now in the parks, or something new that is only in the parks?
It's one of those things I feel like it's hard to answer, and here's why. When something's a really established IP, right? Especially for our generation, I'm going to say that. It's obviously very exciting, for a number of reasons. Not only because you want to see how they do it, everything is sort of familiar, the characters or, everything that's involved with the ride that's established from a pre-existing, motion picture IP or whatever.
Yeah.
It's exciting because it's already something you love, so there's that. The thing I would say, though, is that when you think about Magic Kingdom, for example, rides that people always talk about as classics, and they always go back to Space Mountain, Big Thunder, Small World, Pirates are all examples of things that they're iconic to the park.
Yeah.
Now, among those rides are probably, my favorite. I love those rides.
Right.
Pirates, right. Big Thunder, Space Mountain, all those rides. But I also feel like, it's harder for younger generations to... I feel like we're moving in a direction where, it's harder for people to get excited. Rarely do they put in a new attraction now that's original.
Right.
You know, it just doesn't happen, I think, because people just don't, they want something they're already excited about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and while those rides I mentioned before are among people's favorites, I just feel like it's because they've been around for a while.
Right.
And people associate them with Disney. I wonder how, like, a new ride like that would do. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
because they don't do it. Like, they don't do it, and I feel like people want what they know, kind of.
Well, yeah, I think that's true. That's true. That's an interesting thing because the two biggest attractions that are going to be ramping up for Disney to open, of course, obviously everything's up in the air and delayed and things going crazy, but because of 2020. But we have in the pipeline, we've got two big attractions. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind, and then we've got Ratatouille, Remy's Adventure. Okay, so both of those are established IP.
What about Tron? Tron's established.
Tron
IP.
is also an established IP. Yeah, so like all of the major attractions coming up for Disney, especially for the 50th anniversary, all of them are based on something else.
I mean, how many attractions are in Magic Kingdom that are original?
Well, that's what we're going to do. Why don't we go through Magic Kingdom Park right now before we get off the rails here.
Okay.
Okay, so now Main Street USA. We'll start there. We'll just go through the lands and kind of talk about each. Main Street USA. Now, here's an interesting thing, Ash. There was plans that are now canceled. There was plans to put a big Broadway-like theater on Main Street for the 50th, and they canceled those plans.
Well,
because I think budget cuts and things like that.
Yeah.
But do you think that Main Street could use like a e-ticket attraction? Like, do you think Main Street needs like an attraction? Because it really, at this point, honestly, Main Street is in and of itself an attraction. But you could eat at Tony's, you could eat at the Plaza, you could get fudge, the Plaza. You could have a hot dog at Casey Jr.'s. There's plenty of places to eat and shop. But I'm wondering, you can meet Mickey in the Town Square Theater, right? At the Town Square.
I mean, I'm not against it. I don't think it's needed. I don't. I kind of like Main Street as it is. A little bit more, I don't feel like there needs to be something like that. But, like I said, I'm not wildly against it. I don't know.
It's kind of an interesting situation. Like, there's a big part of the park that has no major attraction.
I kind of like it, though. I love Main Street. It's one of my favorite parts of the park.
Okay,
if not my favorite part.
Maybe Main Street, the big attraction is the picture with the castle, right? I mean, that iconic walk up to the castle.
I mean, it depends on where it would be. I kind of hate the idea of there being some huge crowd waiting somewhere outside.
I think it would have to be closer to the Town Square, like right when you walk in, right after the Walt Disney World Railroad. Once you get through under the station and you walk under the station, it would have to be either where Mickey is on the right or where the firehouse is on the.
I mean, I don't know. I think it would just sort of be there. I'm not really sure. Like, what
would you like it if there was some sort of like Astro Orbiter type of thing? No, not Astro Orbiter. Sorry, People Mover.
Yes.
Okay, that would be kind of neat, though, wouldn't it?
If that's what that was.
Yeah.
I wish that there were People Movers like in every part of the park.
It'd be cool if there was a People Mover type attraction on Main Street.
The problem is that it doesn't really, the reason why it's okay to have in Tomorrowland is it kind of fits the theme of Tomorrowland. Like, you wouldn't want to be on Jungle Cruise and have a People Mover above you.
Yeah.
Like, part of the reason the People Mover is so cool is it goes in and out of Space Mountain and other attractions, and the Tomorrowland and the way that the People Mover looks, it fits well. I think it would not fit the theming of the other lands, but super well, just because I think it'd be a distraction in other lands. But I think that, Main Street, that's not an issue.
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
I don't know what you would do with it though. Where would you go?
I think you could honestly. Yeah, I guess it would be kind of difficult to do it. You know,
I don't think they would do it, and here's why. They
they're
opted
going
to build the gondolas over expanding the monorail.
Yeah.
And that right there tells you they probably wouldn't.
Well, there's even talk they might extend the gondolas all the way to Magic Kingdom.
Yuck.
Yuck, you say yuck. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna go yuck there too. I don't want that coming up the view.
Honestly,
messing up the views.
Disney is one of those places where the view was supposed to matter. It is. It's the place where you don't want to see ugly wires. I know that sounds really snobby and terrible, but the gondolas are kind of an eyesore.
Yeah. No,
the system is just, it's gaudy.
Well, I don't like that you have those really big metal posts, right?
Well, I know that, people like the gondolas, that's fine.
They are kind of an eyesore.
I just think they're kind of like they're big. And to me,
what's big?
Wouldn't
the
you
gondolas?
Like the metal poles and
okay.
the wires, and you see them everywhere. And I don't love that when you're on them, you can see like behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's been one big diehard Disney fans, kind of Disney purists, things like that, people that, because Walt was always very concerned about eye lines.
I think if Walt were here, he would have never, ever allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
And I get that things change and, whatever. We need more transportation because there's more hotels and everything.
Right.
I get it. But I also think while it was not a cheap thing to do, I think it was cheaper than extending the monorail.
Yeah, okay.
There were other options, and I don't know.
I got you.
I don't love it, but
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So let's go through the attractions. So let's go to Fantasyland first. Okay. So at Fantasyland, we've got, Fantasyland is so much bigger now. But, okay, so at Fantasyland, we've got Little Mermaid.
Obviously IP,
right? We've got Gaston's Tavern, that section. We've got Belle's Enchanted Tales, Be Our Guest, all of that. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. They built an entire immersive section of Fantasyland, called it New Fantasyland, and none of it is based on something original to the theme park. It's all based on established films, right? And film franchises, okay? Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And then, of course, we've got Winnie the Pooh is there as well. We have Peter Pan's Flight, Mickey's PhilharMagic, and then we have It's a Small World, and I guess I think I covered it all, didn't I?
Is that it? So Small World's the only one?
Small World's the only original IP. No, PhilharMagic.
Yeah, remember we were saying...
But I guess PhilharMagic does kind of go through a bunch of different films. So I guess I don't know if you can really count that.
It's kind of like in the middle somewhere. Kind of like when we were talking about, I don't know if you counted, you didn't do like Goofy, the Barnstormer.
Well, that's technically...
I know, but usually
Storybook
it's
Circus.
Listed in Fantasyland, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess Barnstormer. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dumbo. Again, Goofy is based off cartoons, and Dumbo is based off the film franchise.
That's different.
The film.
And we talked about this earlier, but I think that the Barnstormer is different. I think there's sort of like a subcategory. Yes, it's based off of the cartoon and his character, but I also like... To me, that's different than, say, I don't know, Snow White, just because of the Fab Five and...
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like kind of like a subcategory to me.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, so what do you think, Ash? The Mad Tea Party, of course, Alice in Wonderland. Mm-hmm. We have they're pretty much Fantasyland is dominated by IP.
Yeah.
But It's a Small World is the standout. How do you feel? I mean, is It's a Small World your favorite attraction in Fantasyland, or what is your thoughts?
I think that it makes sense honestly. I do really like Small World, but I mean, when I think of Fantasyland, that's the ride that comes to mind.
Oh, really?
I think because it's, iconic. It's what, I don't know.
So there you go.
It's what I think of, yes, when I think of New Fantasyland. Is it my favorite attraction? No. My favorite attraction is...
In Fantasyland is The Little Mermaid?
Is The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is, and I think this is why it suits Fantasyland, is because that's the first movie I remember seeing in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was 3 or something. And so when you're a lot of, Fantasyland is like, the land to go to, pretty much when you have young kids. That is where they're going to be able to do the most, probably.
Yeah.
It makes sense that it's things that, like Winnie the Pooh and Little Mermaid, that are things that little kids, know and probably watch and have seen. Yeah. I am glad they did Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, just because it's an older, obviously.
Right, it's the first feature animation.
Rather than doing some, newer...
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's great. I applauded Disney when they were doing Snow White's, like putting all of that effort and budget into a 1937 movie. I just, attraction based on a 1937 attraction.
I think the attraction could be better.
Loved. I mean, I think it's a solid.
It's solid. It's
solid attraction.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite. It doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't.
I don't get off the attraction and think like, wow, that was really
leaves you wanting a little bit. Yeah,
it does.
Okay, so now here's the thing.
No, I want to add one thing real quick too, though. Even though I think of Small World when I think of Fantasyland, and I think a lot of Disney people would say that, it still almost always has the shortest wait.
Well, because it has such an incredible amount of people that could get on.
Well, that's true too. But I also feel like people are just sort of like, ew.
Well, here's the other thing too about Small World. It's actually, I mean, if we're going to be, technical, it's not a theme park original. It was made for the New York World's Fair.
Yeah, but it's still an original attraction. It's not based on
right.
IP.
It's not. You're right. It's still an original attraction. So
I think one thing to note too is that while anyone that's listening to this probably loves Disney, right? That's safe to assume, and we go there multiple times. Anyone listening to this probably goes every year or something like that. Most people that walk into Disney World are go there for one time in their life.
Yeah.
And so, I think people that have been and their families have been or they grew up going care a lot more about, Big Thunder and Small World and stuff like that because they know about it. Whereas if you think about it, if you don't know anything about it and you have small kids, you're going to go on what interests them the most.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be stuff with IP.
Yes.
I mean, the percentage is high. It's like 80 or 90% of people that are there on any given day, for the most part, are people that go one time to Disney in their lives.
That's it.
Once.
That's it. So here's an interesting thing, right? So I'll be honest. The most heartwarming attraction in Fantasyland for me, and the one I love the most is It's a Small World. Mm-hmm. So that one lasts for me. Just does. Is a great ride. It's joyful, and I think that's something we need more of.
I think it's hopeful too.
Joyful, hopeful, and it speaks to a person in Walt, right, and the Imagineers who legit wants harmony, right? They want the world to see what they have in common, not their differences, right? Which I think is just really kind of special. So for me, I guess in Fantasyland, I'm going to go original IP. Obviously, Peter Pan's Flight is iconic, and Little Mermaid and Be Our Guest is amazing. We're not saying all these other things are lesser. We're just saying, I prefer the original IP, which is It's a Small World. It was a design and a style that was, created just for an attraction. Mm-hmm. All right, so what about... let's do... I guess we could do Tomorrowland really quick, because Tomorrowland, there's really not a whole lot to talk about. other than Tomorrowland, Disney tried unsuccessfully to make a movie based off of Tomorrowland. Like it was a cool experiment, and I'm glad that they did it because they thought, hey, if it worked with pirates, maybe we could, take a land from one of our parks and make it into a film franchise that'll be huge. And they made a movie with George Clooney, and I forget the name of the kid, called Tomorrowland, and it just...
I wanted to love it so
we
bad.
really did want to love it. And to be honest, the first half of the movie is whimsical and fun. And then it just tanks. Like, just really takes. And I'll be honest, and I stand by this. George Clooney does not make very good movies. Like, I'm sorry. He just...
What about Ocean's 11?
That was a remake based on a Frank Sinatra movie.
I know it was a remake, but
he needs Frank Sinatra to make his best movie. Let's put it that way. Okay?
I thought the remake was better than the original.
George Clooney is
we watched the original. I was like, ugh.
He's handsome, and I think that's the only thing that he's got going.
What about an ER?
Well, that's where he got his launch, right?
But do you think he was good in ER?
Yes. Oh no, I don't. I mean, it's not that I dislike George Clooney. I'm just saying he does not make very good movies.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, his movies...
Get a better agent, George.
...are just not that good. The Ocean's movies were fun, but those were, like, the only fun movies he makes. Everything else is, like, just not as nearly as fun.
I gotcha.
But he's a good guy. I mean,
I do like the one movie he's in with Michelle Pfeiffer. One Fine Day. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. I mean... He did give all of his close friends from, like, his childhood, he gave them all briefcases, and in the briefcase was $1 million. And he said, Don't blow this. He's like, invest this, do something with this. I love you guys. That was really nice. It was that was nice.
Cool.
All right, so, but, again, he tried to make, Tomorrowland just kind of fizzled. Tomorrowland, the movie was not good, but the land is amazing. So... in this area, we've got Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, based off IP, right? We've got Stitch's Great Escape, which I think is now permanently closed. I'm not sure.
We have the
Monsters...
Stitch deserves better.
Yeah, he does. We have the Monsters, Inc. Laugh Factory. Sorry, not Laugh Factory, Laugh Floor.
Pass.
Not Laugh Factory.
I never have to go in there ever again.
Okay, don't like that one. We have the People Mover.
Love.
Original to the park. And not really any story to it. It's just the People Mover.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the iconic Space Mountain.
That's it. Is that it?
That's pretty much it.
There is the Speedway. Did you already say that?
The Tomorrowland Speedway? No, I did not.
I mean...
So...
Probably shouldn't talk about that.
Again, original to the park. It's weird. There's just... You know what Tomorrowland lacks? Now we're going to have Tron, which is going to blow everybody's minds.
So excited about Tron.
But... the Tomorrowland lacks like a really good story-driven attraction. You know what I mean? There's really no...
I mean, you think about it, though, can you... Like, Tron, yes, based on IP, but, I mean, it's not like Tron is some amazing, like, movie that everybody knows.
Right. Yeah,
it's actually It's actually very different than,
it's more of a cult classic.
Like, Frozen.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing. It's not like, oh, well, this was like a wildly popular movie. Let's make an attraction out of it. Like, I think they just saw the opportunity to make something really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So you almost feel like there are different levels to this. It's not like, oh, this movie made $1 gazillion. Let's make a ride.
Yeah.
Tron, I almost appreciate more because it was like, oh, well, we see this really cool thing we could do.
Yeah.
And, what can we associate it with?
Yes.
Oh, Tron.
Yeah. So, obviously, when Tron opens, I'm sure we'll go, hey, Tron, of course, is the best IP in this area. Obviously, right now, I think we would both agree without even saying anything. Space Mountain is, yes, generic in its wording, right? But is such a great experience.
Simple, great. I just think
so great,
and that's why I love the People Mover. I like that it's simple. I like that the ride is longer. It says exactly what it is, And it doesn't have to be, not everything has to be some crazy detailed,
right,
whatever.
Yes.
I think there needs to be a mix.
And that's another thing to talk about. Worldwide, Disney worldwide, all of the main, huge, big land expansions have all been based on IP. Galaxy's Edge, Pandora, New Fantasyland. Those are the 3 biggest expansions in the last few years.
Toy Story Land, too.
Toy Story Land as well, you're right. All based off IP that has been proven. Whereas, we're like the Animal Kingdom was going to have a section of the park called the Beastly Kingdom, which was going to be all this original IP that is just, specific to, Animal Kingdom. And it got, obviously it's now Pandora basically. But, it could have been a whole dedicated section of the park that was based on no IP, and they were just, creating it. So I know. But again, in Tomorrowland, our favorite attraction, my favorite attraction, yours in Fantasyland was not, but favorite attraction was an original attraction, Space Mountain, right? I mean, it's just incredible. Okay.
Yeah, but you also think about those expansions real quick. I mean, I would say like Toy Story Land. Toy Story isn't like one movie that, like, just the first movie was good and that was sort of it. I mean, the whole series, 4 isn't as great.
Still a good movie.
But it's still a good movie.
Yeah. Which I guess we should watch it again.
Beats Frozen 2, like, by a zillion. Don't even get me started on Frozen 2, everyone. JB's laughing at me. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And everybody loved it. What is wrong with you? I don't know, but tell me why you like it, because it didn't make any sense, and it totally went back on everything that Frozen 1 was about, and just because they were talking about their feelings the whole time, everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing! Oh my gosh, get a brain. No, okay, if you like it, that's fine.
Get a brain?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I just don't understand why everyone loved it. Like, can't we just see, like, the plot was severely flawed. Like, there's just, I don't know.
It was
nowhere near Frozen 1. It wasn't even in the same realm.
No, it was disjointed. It was a disjointed, and frankly, just disappointing, long sequel that just went on and on.
Guys, listen. If you love Frozen 2, don't take
It's
offense.
okay.
Like, the other day we watched Mighty Ducks 2, and it was horrible, and I loved it.
Oh my gosh, it was really
like, we
bad.
all have things that we love that aren't, like, in my opinion, great.
Right,
but if
right.
you love it and you think it's great, then that's great.
Yes.
All opinions welcome.
Yeah.
But I like to go up on my little soapbox once in a while.
That's okay.
But if you think about Toy Story has been around. I mean, when did the first movie come out?
1995.
Yeah, and I mean, all those movies are fantastic. That's a great decision for a land, really. I agree with it. Star Wars, how long has Star Wars been around?
Yeah.
It's a loved franchise.
Yes.
I mean, Pandora, but I mean, one of the best rides in the park.
It was the number 1 movie, but it's also not loved. It's not beloved.
Yikes.
Yeah. We'll see how the sequels are coming out.
But I mean, I don't mind that as much. Pandora is very well done, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I like about Pandora.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't like if they had, like, one movie that was super awesome and then they, like, made a land out of that one. Like, don't even get me started if there was a Frozen land.
I know. We already know your thoughts. When we get to Epcot, we'll talk about that in length. So, anyway. Ash is
fired up.
Mischievously grinning over here.
Recent election week, leftover.
A lot of crazy. It was a rough. It was a long week. It's a long week for everybody.
Definitely.
A long year for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So okay. So basically here we have, again for you, Ash, Space Mountain's your favorite, right? I wonder if Tron will change our minds. Although, will it really change your mind, or will you have that like emotional like connection to space that you'll be?
You know what? It'll be the same thing that happened for me on Flight of Passage. Like, I didn't want to really like Flight of Passage because it's new, and you're kind of like, do I want to be one of those people that just like loves the new shiny new thing? Yeah. And I just think Flight of Passage just delivers. It's so good, and I was like so kind of conflicted with myself about it.
Yeah.
Because I also love Dinosaur with the black sheets hanging and dinosaur heads coming out.
It's such a great ride, though.
Not our dino.
Not our dino.
But I do think Tron is just going to blow people's minds.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean...
I hope Disney has
I don't know, because it's in the same land as Space Mountain, it's going to be difficult
Okay, I have something that... Now, we're getting off the rails a little bit because of you.
I think people off the rails.
But
because of me.
My issue is Space Mountain and Tron are basically right next to each other. And if you're at Disney on a busy day... The line for Space Mountain could go into basically the middle of Tomorrowland. Like, it could stretch all the way to, like, the Galaxy Gifts shop. Like, it could really go far out of the building. Mm-hmm. I hope they have a very robust line queue, like, area for Tron.
I'm sure they will, because, like, think about Flight of Passage. You can wait for 3 hours in that line.
I hope that they've got that figured out, because Space Mountain is an old school line queue type of thing, and that huge like it's a single line basically until you get into the loading area, and then there's all the turnstiles. So like that area, Tomorrowland is going to be jammed in the future.
Well,
when Tron opens.
It's the best place to be jammed though, because it's one of the only areas in Magic Kingdom where there's any space.
Right.
Is back there, and now there won't be, and I won't like it.
Yeah. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head over now to Frontierland and Liberty Square. So we're going to do both those combined, because Liberty Square is small, but it still has a couple of attractions in it. And then, of course, Frontierland is robust and probably the biggest land in the park. So, Ash, we've got the Hall of Presidents in Liberty Square, and we also have the Haunted Mansion. Okay, so these are both basically original attractions to Disney theme parks. I don't know. We don't even need to say anything because it's all original and
it's all great.
To be honest, the Haunted Mansion.
I mean,
what else
you
needs
think
to be said about
iconic rides, though, I mean, it's the originals that really come to mind.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it in every section. I think a lot of people love, and maybe they get annoyed by the Small World song, but they always think of Small World. That is what people think of when they think of Fantasyland. Yeah. And then you're going to think of Haunted Mansion, and you're going to think of Big Thunder, you're going to think of Space Mountain, you're going to think of Pirates. Mm-hmm. Those are all original attractions.
Yeah. So we have...
And the Tiki Room.
Yeah, so this area of the park is just rife with original attractions. Like, so really, I mean, Country Bear Jamboree would be the next big attraction. And I mean, I love it. There is a certain element of the culture now that is saying that it's outdated and it's terrible and it's politically incorrect and all this stuff. I don't know, guys. It's a bunch of bears singing songs. I have such a great time in this attraction. I love it.
I think
don't get rid of it.
Every time we're in there and there's a very diverse group of people in the theater, everybody is laughing
and clapping
and having a great time.
Yeah.
And I do think that being PC and stuff is important, and the change sometimes
Disney does an
happen.
Incredible job at that.
Definitely.
Disney is a really
I also think that sometimes
company.
Things are meant to be lighthearted, and you can't get too serious all
about a talking
the
moose
time.
On a I know.
But regardless of that, it's one of our favorite attractions. It's fun. And you know what? And I think that's my biggest thing with the Splash Mountain thing is that while a change is fine, I kind of wish it was, going to be something original.
Yeah.
But I do understand, representing Tiana. I just feel like the theming doesn't seem quite right. But, part of me longs for just an original, do something original. There.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Right. No,
it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
I'll give it a chance, and hopefully they do a really good job with it.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got Country Bear, we've got Big Thunder Mountain, of course, which is original to the parks, right? Developed by Tony Baxter, and in the late 70s, early 80s. Awesome ride, and then Splash Mountain is based off Song of the South.
I mean, is it though? My question is, did
the characters,
like, wasn't the ride actually they wanted to do like a water ride?
They wanted to do a log flume ride,
right? And then they kind of designed it and then decided to throw those characters in. It wasn't like, oh, let's build a Song of the South ride.
No. They wanted to build a log flume ride in the parks,
and then they tried to think of what
afterwards would go. Decided. Yeah. I've got the book about the mountain Imagineering story. It's right upstairs.
I am glad that they're not getting rid of like the ride.
At least the ride will stay intact, right?
Yeah.
So Splash, of course, that's technically not original. If you say it's based off.
See, but I don't feel like it's based off of IP. The ride is original.
No, you're right.
Characters aren't. It's kind of a strange thing.
It's a weird situation, right? Because Disney understood the sensitivity aspect of Splash Mountain even when they first built it, and that's why they didn't put any. All the characters are animals, and they're all, like it's all just. It's just a story about Brer Rabbit getting in trouble and getting out of trouble,
Right.
So, and then just I mean, they were aware of it before, which is why you don't see, the Uncle Remus or anything like that.
Right.
So it's an interesting situation, right? And then, of course, like you said, Ash, another iconic attraction, which you've already mentioned, of course, and that's Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, really, this whole area of the park, now that you think about it, is all original, with the exception of a little bit of Splash, right?
I mean, is it your favorite land?
It's Adventureland is my favorite, right? So
see, and Frontier is my favorite,
Adventureland.
And those are both original.
There's
dominated by original.
Yeah, dominated by original attractions. And then you head into Adventureland, of course. There's Pirates, which is interesting.
Where the marijuana is wafting.
Where the yes, wafting. So you have Pirates, which is an IP that was original to the parks, which then, oddly enough, is spurned a huge multi-billion-dollar movie franchise, the Pirates of the Caribbean film franchise. So it's interesting that, an original attraction to the park wound up going the opposite direction, whereas like it was created in the parks and then was, spread worldwide, right? Which is just incredible. Obviously, we love Pirates. And then, of course, Jungle Cruise, which, again, I think is going to be another attraction that will probably spurn a film franchise.
Do you think it'll be a franchise? I mean, if anyone can do it, The Rock
and Emily Blunt. Right.
I mean, amazing.
The film was supposed to come out in July of 2020. That did not happen.
I'm glad they didn't just release it. Yes. I'm glad they're waiting.
No, because I feel like the Jungle Cruise movie will just be incredible. From what I hear, and what I've just stuff that even they put out, they've had such a fun time on social media with it. Emily Blunt and The Rock just have great chemistry.
Gosh, they do. They're so funny.
They're just a good
things
pair.
That you see.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that spurs them on to do more Jungle Cruise type attractions. And then, of course, we have the Tiki Room, which is, another classic Walt attraction. So really, like, this whole area is original, with the exception of Aladdin's Magic Carpets.
Oh.
Which is just a Dumbo type ride, right?
Get it out of there.
Which is weird because
it takes up so much room. I hate it. So stupid.
You guys, today this podcast, a lot of Ash rants today. Hashtag Ash rants.
I know. When I listen to it after you release it, I'm going to be like, ooh, that was severe.
Yeah, but that's okay. People like severe sometimes, right? It's okay.
I just think it's not needed, and it creates a bottleneck right there, which would be an otherwise kind of open area that's needed in that part of the park, just to have another hub and spoke, whatever it's called, ride. Like, there's 2 Dumbos.
There is.
Like, go over there.
There is.
Why do you want to take a picture on magic carpets of Aladdin?
Right.
You don't.
Right. There is a... That's so funny. I like it in one way, because when you get on the ride...
don't.
I do, because when you get up high, it's kind of cool to see Adventureland up high.
Don't defend it now.
I like Adventureland that much.
Who are you becoming?
I don't know. So then we have Swiss Family Treehouse, which is actually based off a book, which was then turned into a movie, and then put into the parks.
Do you remember when we went over by Swiss Family Treehouse? Because I don't, because I never did.
Yes, you did. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Swiss Family Treehouse. For those of you who don't know, I'm pretty certain that Ash went on this treehouse with me, and she's claiming that it was some other woman. It was
not me. I've never been over there.
Since I did have other women with me.
Okay. I know. I'm just saying it wasn't me.
Right. And then, of course, we... so Swiss Family Treehouse, based off the movie Swiss Family Robinson, and based off the book of the same story, basically.
See, but no one goes into Adventureland check out Swiss Family Robinson.
No, and they were doing, I told this you guys before, they were doing height balloon measurements for a possible Moana type coaster.
Why do you keep bringing it up just to disappoint everybody?
I know. I hope that they do it. Or put Indy in there.
See, and that would be IP, and that
put
would be
Indy
exciting.
in there.
See, and I think IP definitely has a place. Like, we're not, some of the best attractions and lands and movements may have been, mostly IP related stuff. But, when you think about it, when we talk about these lands, most of the rides that you mention as being like the ride in that land are the original ones.
Yes. So, all right. So, why don't we... and then, of course, Tom Sawyer Island, based off the book Tom Sawyer, which, is cool, but it's basically just a giant playground area for kids. But yeah, it's closed for refurbishment at the moment, actually. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen. So that is our Magic Kingdom original IP versus movie IP, or original to the theme park versus movie IP. Yeah. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe on Bandcamp.com, Magic in the Midwest Podcast.bandcamp.com. If you need anything insurance-wise, reach out to me, reach out to us, or, I can help you guys, honestly. It's really kind of something I really love doing, is helping people that way. And what else?
That's it.
All right. Ash just completely lost. Okay. From the Midwest. See you later.